how do you come up with an angle to make it more enticing and actually stand out from your competitors? Because essentially you offer the same service.
Right. So the first thing that we do is showcase our knowledge and expertise so that they can develop trust in us. So that's how you stand out. And then the second thing is to recognize that because the material, in my instance, right, is not exactly going to set the world on fire from an engagement perspective. The second thing to understand is that you can bring your material to life in new and interesting ways. So we, for example, developed Hadley. We developed the question and answer piece. We developed a case study type of content. So we looked at what we were doing through the prism of what would be received in an engaging and an interesting way by customers who actually are there with a slight knot in their stomach, knowing that this material is probably going to be boring and probably hard to really fathom, and knowing the significance of them getting it right, but at the same time giving them an experience that defines the immigration experience in a sort of, a new and interesting and a novel kind of way, just by virtue of the fact that the website exists and it does what it does, for example, is remarkable and brings your material to life in that way. No one else is doing this. Why would a lawyer, for example, me in this instance, do this? No lawyers operate like that. That's remarkable in and of itself. The way that you design your content packages, be they short videos where you put an infographic together, or perhaps a checklist, or something that is not what you would expect if you're going to come to a website and read about a particular subject matter. You differentiate yourself by turning your material into actionable material. You turn it into the way, as I say, you put interesting elements in, like we've done with Hadley, the puppet character. You do it through recognizing that your customers in due course will want to navigate into your content. As it builds up over time, it becomes voluminous, right? As it becomes voluminous, there then are different pathways that you can consider that people would want to access through your material into the solution. So you just approach the whole project from the perspective that says, like, okay, I've got this problem. I know that it's a challenge to overcome. I know what the emotional dynamics in play are all about at this point. So if I find myself on a website, what does that website look like that's going to make me feel really good about it all? And that's the website that you develop, and that's the remarkable nature of your proposition.
So here branding plays a huge role as well. It's not just the content that you deliver, but how you package it as a whole.
Well, how it looks and how it feels is important. It doesn't have to be, professionally crafted from an overall brand perspective. You can develop your own brand by bringing resources from Elance and Fiverr and what have you. I mean, our logo was designed by a guy in Pakistan on Fiverr for $5. Right, that was in the early days. We realised over time that we'd kind of over-engineered the branding piece because we have the Hong Kong Visa Centre Giza Handbook logo, which included Hong Kong Visa for obvious reasons, because we wanted everyone to associate our proposition with the concept of Hong Kong Visa, so that fits very broadly in what we in how our brand is sort of put out into the web. And then we've got this sort of logo that, because Martin and I are not branding experts, we just cobbled it together. But the fact that we cobbled it together hasn't detracted at all in any way, shape or form from our brand proposition, because our brand is now being understood for what we represent as a relationship, rather than what the way that our materials are packaged. So our materials are packaged so that they look good enough to come across as being professional, but we haven't invested any money whatsoever in really wanting to fine tune and polish a brand, because let's face it, the world is over-branded. Brands are everywhere. It's, you know, who remembers anything these days? These days it's just about communicating what you're all about and creating relationships. So the brand thing is one thing, but it's not that important to us. Ultimately, what it boils down to is, can we help people? Can we demonstrate the way that we've put our materials together, that we are trustworthy? We're not just a bunch of amateurs. We're clearly not Landor and Associates, one of the world's biggest branding enterprises. We haven't brought that level of branding thinking to what we're doing. But what we've done is we've understood our customer and we've said, right, what are the things that they really need from us, and how does that look? What are the psychological concerns that people might have in the trust development exercise? And what's the minimum that we can do just to address those concerns without getting locked into this idea that we're supposed to present ourselves in any way other than the fact that ultimately we're trustworthy.